The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
I want to ask you one question. So you're basically making the argument that you would run the country much like you run a company, and that you're showing, when it comes to that you have your fiscal house in order. But I want to ask you about something else. This is a recent CNN poll among Republican candidates. This would be Republicans' choice for the nominee in 2012. We did this poll earlier in the month, and you are basically tied for first place with Mike Huckabee. Many people say it's because of your wading into the whole birther debate. Do you wish that do you take back the questions about whether Barack Obama was born in the United States?
I don't believe that's the reason I'm doing so well in all of the polls. There's another poll where I'm 11 points up on Huckabee, on Romney. But I don't believe that's the reason. I think the reason I'm doing so well in the polls is because people know that I'm a smart guy, I'm a good business guy.
Yes, but you can't get out of the gate. You can't get out of the gate in a general election if you say that you're questioning whether Barack Obama was born in America. You won't win.
Oh, I don't think that at all. I think there's a real question as to whether or not, and frankly, 75% of the people in the Republican Party are really doubting whether or not they have very big doubts. So, you know, there are a lot of people. I don't know why he doesn't just show his birth certificate.
Well,
I hope he does.
You know what?
I'd much rather run man to man. I don't know why he doesn't just show his birth certificate. But the reason I'm up in the polls isn't that.
Donald
the
Trump.
reason I'm up is because I'll protect this country from China and OPEC and all the others that are ripping us off.
The great part about a guy with your resources is that you were able to deploy people to go and find out what is actually going on with Barack Obama's birth certificate. What did you find?
Well, we're looking into it very, very strongly, and at a certain point in time, I will be revealing some interesting
Have you got anything, though? Have you got anything? Even if you don't tell us what it is. Have you got something that suggests that Barack Obama was not born in the United States?
We're looking into it very strongly, and you will be very surprised.
This is the other thing, though. Why wade into that debate if you do have a good argument about our country being lost, about questioning our foreign policy, about questioning our fiscal policy? Why not run on that? Why bring it?
I think my strength is a good question. I think my strength is jobs, the economy, and protecting our nation from OPEC, China, and all these other countries that are ripping us off. That's my strength. The problem is, every time I go on a show, like as an example this morning, the first question you ask me is about the birth certificate. So I go on a show, I want to talk about how we're going to salvage ourselves from losing $300 billion this year from China, and the person always asks, Mr. Trump, let's talk about the birth certificate.
Because it's a non-starter.
It's ludicrous, Mr. Trump. It's just a ludicrous discussion. So if you don't want it handled, let's get it on the record right now that you believe Barack Obama was born in the United States. And I promise you, after this, no one at CNN will ever ask you this question again.
I wish I could say that. I wish I could say that with certainty. It's possible that he was, but there's a big question as to whether or not he was. There are too many things. When I started this 2 months ago, and I heard about it for years, but when I started it 2 months ago, I thought he was. At every day that goes by, I think less and less that he was born in the United States. He possibly was, but I want to get rid of the word possibly.
If at some point you'd like to come on and settle the birther issue, we can get down to talking about business, which I always enjoy.
You have to stop asking me about a birth certificate.
Well, then you got to stop talking about. You got to stop talking about where the president's born if you don't want us to ask you, Donald Trump.
You have to stop asking me the question.
We'll stop asking you the questions when you stop saying that President Obama can't prove that he's born in the United States. Deal? Is that a deal?
That's fine with me.
All right, and one other quick question before we go. Do you know when this investigation in Hawaii is going to wrap up? When can you give a definitive answer, yes or no, about your questions?
Why don't you ask me about OPEC? Why don't you ask me? Here we go.
You're not investigating OPEC.
Why don't you people stop talking about this?
If you investigate OPEC, we'll ask you about OPEC. How's that?
People would be very happy. My strength is OPEC. My strength is jobs and China. Why don't you focus on that?
Well, it's because what I was trying to explain to...
I can't believe you just asked another question on the birther.
Well, I don't understand how you think you're going to get out of the gate.
Don't be embarrassed.
I'm not embarrassed. I don't know how you think you can get out of the gate, get anyone to vote for you, even if every single Republican who you claim doesn't believe...
Excuse me, you just said at the beginning of the show that I'm leading in all the polls.
All right, well, let's, we'll hopefully we put this all behind us and we are able to talk about all those other things which are what Americans are very interested in talking about. Donald Trump, thank you for calling in. We appreciate you calling in and clearing a little bit of that record. Chris Byron, thank you for coming in and I think causing Donald Trump to call us. So we appreciate having you there. It's worth a read of Chris Byron's piece on CNN.com.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.